Hey there, Russ here. Welcome back to the shop. Well, I had a gentleman on my last video ask me, he explained to me how he was using solar integrated into his system so he could save a few bucks, and basically he was running a small air conditioner and not having to pay for that. Anyway, I thought it was interesting, but he asked me about my solar ideas, about my whole backup system. Let me start by telling you my attitude about, first off, I don't want to be off grid. I want my power when I turn the switch on, and I don't want to have to do things in order to survive. But if it goes down, I got to be prepared for those things and be able to still do most of the things that we need to do here at home. Obvious things. So anyway, so the first thing you have to do is I needed to just make sure I could perpetually keep the power going. And the way I have it now, between the generator, the two inverters, and now it's going to be 30 kilowatts of electrical storage, I should have enough to be able to stay perpetual. You add that all up, and to run the generator, I probably, with my normal consumption, I predict I would have to run that generator about 4 hours a day to recreate the amount of energy I'm going to use tomorrow. So that works pretty good, running that generator twice a day. That means that I'm using 2 gallons of gasoline a day. Between both vehicles and the 15-gallon deal I got, that's still going to be what? That's going to be 25 days of being able to stay almost a month. I can sustain on the amount of gasoline that I have on the property at any given moment, pretty much. So I get a longevity of being able to survive if the power goes down. Even though it's not perpetual over a long period, I would have to eventually resupply my gasoline periodically. I think that would be good enough to get me by, at least for the next 30 days till I figure out what I have to do, if anything. Anyway, that's more than enough. The solar, I really just don't think it's worth it for me at this time. I don't want to be off grid. And as far as saving money, you start putting solar, that's actually, believe it or not, one of the biggest places where you'll pay more in the long run than anywhere else. And it's the most dangerous aspect of the whole system, because your solar is a much higher voltage than this system here, believe it or not, and it can be more dangerous and more of a fire hazard if it isn't done right, or if you have something go wrong. So it's not that I'm afraid of solar, but it would take a lot of cautionary habits that I don't already now have, that I would have to learn in order to really be comfortable with adding solar. So at this point, I think about adding a small amount of solar. Like if I know I'm going to be down for a long period, I could cut down how many hours a day I have to run the generator. If I had some solar panels that I had made up on a little cart, I could roll out, lay them out on the ground, and plug them all in and put together a quick solar array that I can at least take some of the burden off of the generator, so maybe I only have to run it 2 hours a day. So I may consider still doing something with solar, and I'm sure I will. And part of that will be because I also am thinking about running the generator for a while, for at least testing purposes, off of my 2 generators that I'm going to have built, battery backup systems, I mean. And with those 2, I'm going to be putting them through some paces here in using the shop as the place that the power is going to run. So, but as it stands, the solar, I just can't quite bring myself to do it. So anyway, I may change my mind. I think about it constantly, and maybe the price of what it costs to really go solar, if I can see that getting down a little bit cheaper, maybe, because the solar part, I think, is a real money pit for having to get enough to you're comfortable with it, because it seems like with solar it's never enough. And so In fact, you get to a point where all of a sudden you go, oh my, it's too much. I need to put more batteries. I might as well save more. It would be a vicious cycle. So, as it stands, it just doesn't fit my ideas. But look forward to the possibility of me putting together some kind of small array that I can wheel out on a cart, lay them all out, and put it all together in a very short period of time. So I think that would be good. I looked at a couple of different ones out there, like some of them make trailers that do that. I don't think I want anything that big, but maybe something more along the line of building out of something like this, and maybe I can put enough panels together to get 2,000 watts out. If I can do something like that and have it all fit on a little cart like this, I probably would consider that. And that way I could just roll the cart out of wherever I have it stored to where I need it, hook everything up, roll the cart back out of the way. When I'm done with it, I can put it all back away, put it back on the cart, and store it back away. So it is feasible that I'll do solar. We'll see. So anyway, that's just the way it's going to be. Now let me tell you, one reason why I'm not worried about returning my investment is it would take forever anyway. You realize, let me give you a proportional thought on it. Right now, I charge that battery, I have 15 kilowatts here. I charge that up to fully charged using the grid. I put 15 kilowatts of power in there. I pay 17 cents a kilowatt. That means that I actually have stored in there $2.55 worth of electrical power. Just seems like an awful lot of money just to hold such a small amount of dollars. And that is where the money pit really is, because it would take me a long time to try to get a return, any kind of real return on what I have spent. I've spent this is to keep it from being devastating, because without the power you can start having problems day after day after day, getting worse, and I can avoid all that by doing what I've done. So to me, that is the kind of return I'm happy enough to get, and I probably have about probably $9,000 wrapped up between my batteries, my inverters, and my generator. Basically, I'm probably under 10 grand easily, probably close to 9,000. And boy, that, just think about how long that would take at 17 cents a kilowatt to get a return on just that amount of money. Much less once if I add solar, it'd probably be close to double that by the time you're in reality, at least 50% more. It'd be $5,000 or $6,000 to get a good solar system set up. So yeah, we'll just keep going the way we're going. We're not going to do solar necessarily unless something really starts to happen here in the country that I don't anticipate, and we start having serious problems with grid power. And I'm pretty sure we're going to be able to nip all that in the bud now. It seems to be a higher priority these days here in America to get the grid all working properly. So I'm optimistic that these things are going to sit here more than they're going to get used by far. And I don't think there is an Armageddon coming. The only really worst scenario is if we have a natural disaster that knocks out the power around here for a period of time. Like hurricanes, tornadoes, earthquakes, different things like that, and you lose the power for maybe even days. That I can believe can happen here. But I don't think that Armageddon is actually going to happen, no matter what. So anyway, that's kind of where I'm at with it. If you have more questions about solar, I know some about it, but I probably am not real comfortable with giving good advice on solar yet. I've been doing a lot of studying and looking at it, but it'll take a while. Anyway, that's kind of where I'm at. I think I've got my system pretty well set up. The only thing I need to do now, pay attention to tune in, is I need to set up some good procedures to be able to get my gasoline out of my vehicle and into my gas caddy easily, so that I can then move that to the generator and put gasoline in the generator from there. So that way I can take that gas and make use of it from the automobiles themselves if I need to do that as a longevity plan. So stay tuned. I've been looking at siphoning and that sort of thing, and it looks like I'm going to have to experiment with that a little bit to make sure I get a good enough system that I can actually get the gasoline out of these vehicles like that. So stay tuned for that one. And like I say, stay tuned because we're going to be rebuilding these. I'm pumping this up to 20 kilowatts and putting together the other 10 kilowatt, 20 kilowatt hours, and another one that's going to be 10 kilowatt hours, so that I have portable power, basically. Even this thing will be on wheels. So anyway, if you have any questions, tomorrow I'm going to try to put one out tomorrow, if not the next day, but maybe tomorrow. I've been wanting to do it today. Is my bungee cord. I've been making my own bungee cord type of thing and trying them out, and I have a pretty good way of making bungee cords out of different materials that we hadn't thought about that will put store-bought bungee cords to shame. Anyway, stay tuned. In a couple of days we're going to look at that closely and see what kind of ideas I got and kind of listen to what you think about it, and maybe you'll find a good twist on it to bring it all together. So stay tuned. The next day or so you're going to see that. So I appreciate you coming by. Please come back again because I'm nowhere near done. Thanks, and we'll see you guys again very soon.